This is installing a 4125 camera that counts entering and exiting customers on drop tile. You can tell the part number by looking at this tag that says the model number, and just look at this 4125 here, and that tells you what part number it is. And you open up the camera box, and you will need this special Allen wrench in order to get the dome off, as well as tighten the screw that holds it onto the ceiling. So we'll keep that on the side. You will need this mounting plate and your camera. Now these cameras will have an SD card inside of them that's already in place, and you're going to be able to plug the PoE Ethernet cord right into that. This one does not have a pigtail like some of the other cameras. Now this is the screw that is going to lock it onto the mounting plate. So the mounting plate's going to sit just like this, tighten up, and then you screw that in just to make sure that it won't come off. So that's a really tight spot up on the ceiling. So just use this little screwdriver, and the first thing you want to do is make sure that you remove the dome. So just take your little screwdriver here. They won't come all the way out, so you don't have to worry about them falling out and losing them. But you do have to loosen them quite a bit in order to get the dome off. And this camera does have a little cord attached to it, so you don't have to worry about that. This little dot is the underside of the lens, so that's on the bottom. So if I'm looking like this with the camera, that means that this way should be facing down to make my picture right side up. That's what determines whether to turn on the IR or not. And this one rotates all around, so I usually try to aim the camera lens away from this cord so that when I'm mounting it on the ceiling, I don't have to have an obstructed view when I'm aiming the camera. When you found the place that you're going to be mounting the camera, and in drop tile, you can see I have a full tile right here. I need to determine if I want to mount the camera in that corner, this corner, the middle, wherever it's going to be mounted, so that way I can make the hole in the right place. So the easiest way is to take the drop tile and just remove it from the ceiling, and then you can bring it over to a trash can so you don't make a mess in the customer's premise. Now I've got a drop tile piece removed, and I'm determined that I'm going to be installing the camera right in the center of this drop tile. So what I need to do is I have to make a hole big enough so I can either use a drywall saw, or if I have a drill and a 7/8 inch or bigger drill bit, I could just drill a hole in the middle. So for this one, I'm just going to use a drywall saw and just cut through. The hole doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it's big enough to get those pigtails through. That's all you need to worry about. And there we go. So now I've got a hole there, and now I can just mount my camera to this hole. I have to determine where my toggle bolts are going to go through next. Now that I cut a hole for the 4125 camera, I'm going to mount the mounting plate. And if you remember on the camera, this one does not have pigtails, so we don't have to shove anything through there. So I'm going to be putting the mounting plate on here, and then I'll have to put it up in the ceiling in order to plug my Ethernet cord into this. So the easiest way is probably just to put the hole right in the middle. That way you don't have to worry about aiming it exactly where that needs to be. So I take my small screwdriver, take two of these holes, shove it through. If I use the drywall or the toggle bolts in order to do that, then these threads get drywall in them, and it doesn't thread as easily. So I shove these through. Now that I got those through, I can flip this upright and put these on the other end. And take my screwdriver, just tighten them up. And this is now ready to go back up into the ceiling. Once you've got your tile back up in the ceiling, all you do is you take your Ethernet wire that you ran, pull it out, and then you're going to clip it into the bottom of the camera here in this LAN port. Make sure that it clicks in there and you hear it click and has a good connection, because sometimes these don't connect that well. And then you've got your little screw here that just needs to line up with that. So I put it on, and it's just going to twist here until I hear a little click. And then all I have to do now is just tighten this screw to keep it from moving, and then it's ready to be aimed before I put the camera lens on for the last